4.5 billion years ago, Earth was a violent, molten sphere. It took hundreds of millions of years of gradual cooling for a stable crust to form, finally creating a surface where life could take hold. For most of the planet's history, we weren't the ones in charge. During the era of the dinosaurs, mammals were a footnote, small, nocturnal creatures surviving in the shadows of giants. That hierarchy ended instantly when a massive asteroid struck. It acted as a hard reset for the entire global ecosystem. With the dominant reptiles gone, an evolutionary vacuum opened up. This provided the space and resources necessary for mammals and eventually primates to flourish and diversify. We are only here because of these catastrophes. Human history didn't start with a plan. It started because a series of global disasters cleared the board. Millions of years ago, the African environment underwent a massive shift. Dense forests began to thin, replaced by the vast, tall grasslands of the savanna. To survive in this open landscape, our ancestors moved onto two legs. Standing up allowed them to spot predators over the grass and travel long distances with far less effort. This biomechanical change had an immediate consequence. The hands were no longer needed for walking. They were free to manipulate the world. Those free hands crafted the first stone tools and eventually harnessed fire, providing both a way to cook food and a source of light in the dark. These technologies allowed humans to leave Africa, enabling them to survive in every climate, from the frozen north to the humid tropics. Bipedalism was the first domino in a chain reaction that turned a vulnerable primate into a species capable of changing the entire planet. 12,000 years ago, we traded nomadic hunting for sedentary farming. This transition to the Neolithic era was the biggest shift in human behavior since fire. But it was a trade-off. Early farmers actually lived shorter, less healthy lives than hunters, suffering from new diseases and vitamin deficiencies. The incentive to stay, however, was the surplus. Farming allowed us to stockpile food, which meant populations could grow 4 times larger than before. Managing that massive surplus forced a new invention. To track property and prevent chaos, humans developed record-keeping grids on clay tablets. Those accounting marks eventually became cuneiform, transitioning from simple tallying to the world's first system of writing. Agriculture didn't just change what we ate, it forced us to invent a way to store information permanently outside of the human brain. Written records allowed cities to scale into monumental civilizations. The Giza pyramids are physical proof of the high-level social coordination that writing made possible. Massive regional networks like the Roman and Han empires used these tools to unify millions of people through standardized law, religion, and permanent infrastructure. By the Middle Ages, the world became even more connected. Mongol expansion and Islamic trade routes linked the East to the West, moving wealth and ideas along the Silk Road. This global mixing of knowledge led directly to the age of exploration and the scientific revolution. By connecting these distant networks, humanity created an intellectual feedback loop that finally allowed us to decode the laws of nature. This Marshall steam engine illustrates the shift from biological muscle to mechanical power. For the first time, we were no longer limited by the strength of humans or animals. Mass manufacturing pulled the global population into cities. This repetitive, mechanized layout of the textile mill became the blueprint for the modern world. That industrial power was quickly turned toward war. World War I saw the first large-scale use of specialized equipment and rocky defenses required for the static, industrialized slaughter of trench warfare. The escalation peaked with the Second World War and the invention of the atomic bomb. This gave humanity a weapon capable of leveling entire cities in a single flash. This threat led to the Cold War stalemate, where the world was physically divided by barriers like the Berlin Wall, separating two global ideologies. Because physical war now meant total destruction, the competition for power moved into a different space, the digital realm. The Cold War space race forced a rapid miniaturization of technology. To survive on the moon, we had to compress massive amounts of processing power into a space no larger than a backpack. These massive mainframe computers were the precursors to our current age. They used magnetic tape drives and manual consoles to process information that would once have taken thousands of humans to calculate. Those mainframes evolved into the internet, weaving the world's knowledge into a single digital network. The current integration of artificial intelligence is the result of 300,000 years of advancing data storage and processing. From the first step on the savannah to the first step on the moon, every innovation was a direct response to a challenge created by the one before it. We have spent our entire history teaching ourselves how to master our environment. Now that we are teaching machines to think for themselves, what happens when the chain reaction continues without us?